Hi, here's Aquafil again, and as I mentioned in my sorry for smoking, but this might take a little while. So, as I mentioned in my New Japan, the New Beginning in Osaka review, I want to talk about the road to WrestleMania ahead of us. This is not a WrestleMania preview, and these are not predictions. These are just some stuff I want to get off my. Or it's just some stuff I want to get off my chest because. On Monday Night Raw, Shane McMahon reappeared, not to unite with his father and his sister, and they had this whole charade about the Vincent J. Memorial Award, Lifetime Award, and yeah, they were going to give it to Stephanie. Yes, a Lifetime Award for a woman who's, as far as I know, 40? I don't doesn't matter how old she is. But the problem is Shane McMahon versus Undertaker at WrestleMania. At first, I really was like, and excuse the foul language, what the fuck? Literally, I was saying, what the fuck? In for like 2 or 3 minutes. I really couldn't get into my mind why they would put Shane McMahon against The Undertaker, and if Shane won, him gaining control over Raw. Well, would have been even more confusing situation if The Undertaker hadn't lost to Brock Lesnar in 2014, because, well, let's say that way it would be a little bit less confusing, because Vince McMahon could say, hey, it's The Undertaker at WrestleMania, he always wins. Obviously, Shane McMahon is no Brock Lesnar, but Undertaker has been beaten before at WrestleMania, so, well, it doesn't really seem to make much sense. Why would Undertaker, that's something many people ask themselves, why would Undertaker fight for Vince McMahon? Well, that one is rather easy to solve. I think that needs to be addressed on the next Raw. Why would Undertaker fight for Vince McMahon? I mean, Vince McMahon is the boss. He can say, well, to properly motivate you, your career is on the line. And if his career was on the line, yeah, Undertaker would fight, and he would bring his best. Because, well, losing to Shane McMahon would be somewhat shameful for The Undertaker. But not only losing the second time at WrestleMania, but being forced to retire because he lost, or because he let Shane win, well, that's a different story. The thing is, and here I have to address something that has been wrong with the WWE for rather long time. Why? Many people ask, why do they bring Shane back? Why do they put the McMahon family back in the focus of the show? This whole family drama we had during the Attitude Era, the end of the Attitude Era. Well, they try to rehash that, so why do they do that? And Shane addressed some interesting points here. It was more or less like a shoot. At least many fans feel that way. The Authority storyline has been going on, almost 2 years, over 2 years. Seems like an eternity, and it has grown stale. Really stale. Stephanie McMahon and Triple H are great heels. They do great work as heels, but almost every Raw opening with a segment involving the Authority sooner or later. Well, they are trying to capitalize on the same stuff that was going on in the Attitude Era, where Stone Cold Steve Austin was the people's hero going against the evil boss Vince McMahon. I think in the 90s it worked because, well, first of all, many people were legitimately pissed at Vince McMahon for the Montreal Screwjob, although I still to this day kind of understand why he did it. It was not a nice thing to do, but, well, all things considered, from a business point of view, that wasn't the dumbest choice. So, there was legitimate heat on Vince McMahon for that. And Stone Cold Steve Austin was like a working class hero. And it would have worked with Daniel Bryan, who is a absolute fan favorite, but, well, he was forced to retire, and it seems WWE didn't really want to go that way back then, because I doubt they thought, let's have Batista win the Royal Rumble, and after he won the damn thing, well, let's make this whole scenario like it happened with Daniel Bryan. If they really planned that, they would be genius, because that really, in the end, played out perfectly, but somehow I doubt it, because otherwise they wouldn't have the problems they have now. And all the problems really stem from one thing. Although Shane put the fault in Stephanie's hands, she ruined the WWE. She is at fault for the increased injuries, the decreasing ratings, and so on and so on. Well, ultimately, Vince McMahon has, I think, the final say. Triple H's pet is NXT, and NXT, well, just watch it. Especially the special events are every time they are good. There's always a match you really love and decent action to build up to that great match. NXT, works well. And there are a lot of things that are done right on NXT, and I think that's thanks to Triple H. But the problem is, and that is proof, to me at least, what the problem is. In the 80s, we had the Cold War, and there was all this tension in America, in Germany, everywhere. There was a lot of tension because of the Cold War, and there was a need for superheroes in a time where many things are uncertain, where movies in which an American hero, like, for example, Chuck Norris in Missing in Action, an American hero saves his comrades, his comrades from the commies, whether they be Vietnamese people or Viet Cong people who still have prisoners of war or whatever. In a time where a movie like the Red Dawn, I think it's called in English or in America, Red Dawn, with a communist invasion, or Invasion USA, another Chuck Norris movie, a lot of fears really were still there, that there is a huge conflict going on, and a normal person can do almost nothing about it. Only a hero can. I think that played a huge part why in the 50s and 60s so many superheroes were created and so many people really ate them up. There was a desperate need for heroes in America, and thus you have Hulk Hogan. You know his theme song. I am a real American, fight for the rights of, and so on. You know it. Sorry, I'm a bad singer. I don't care. So there was a need for such heroes. And look at the heroes of the 80s. You had Hulk Hogan. You had Hacksaw Jim Duggan, who was kind of a hero in the WWE. And you had the heels. They were either foreigners or bad guys who really didn't want to, didn't really appreciate America and the American dream and so on, and just did whatever the hell they wanted, and thus were not quite popular. This superhero stuff, in the 80s it worked perfectly. People needed a hero. They needed an unbeatable hero. Hulk Hogan beating the Iron Sheik for the WWF World title, or Heavyweight title. it was great because he was some foreigner. He then defended against the bad Canadian Scotsman Roddy Piper, rest in peace, who just, yeah, he was not a nice guy. He fought off King Kong Bundy, a monster. He fought off Andre, a former fan favorite who turned on his brothers. He then had to fight against the $1 Million Man, or this whole stuff with the $1 Million Man, Ted DiBiase. Well, in the end, Randy Savage won the title with the help of Hulk Hogan, but he turned heel too, and Hulk Hogan defeated him for the title once again because he was the Macho King. He was better than everybody else. This is something nobody likes. People telling you, I'm better than you. I'm the best. And in a cocky sense. So, with the Ultimate Warrior, another superhero, who, of course, in the 80s was a superhero in the mid-card. Later on, in the early 90s, you had all these cartoony gimmicks. Funnily enough, except Bret Hart and Shawn Michaels, almost all gimmicks were kind of cartoony. Even Diesel. What? Diesel? Why? Because he's like a monster truck? I don't know. Or Razor Ramon. Pretty gimmicky too. And cartoonish. So, and guess what? It didn't work out. WCW, I don't want to go into the Monday Night War in detail here, but the WCW really handed WWE their ass and Vince McMahon his ass, because we had cartoony gimmicks in WWE, we had a lot of stuff that just didn't click with the crowd, and let's be honest, the WCW was not much better until the NWO came. Of course, yeah, they had cruiserweights. Fast-paced action you didn't see on WWE television. But until the NWO came along, remember the Tower of Doom match at Uncensored 96? Hulk Hogan and Randy Savage battling the Alliance to End Hulkamania, the Dungeon of Doom and the Four Horsemen and Lex Luger and other people, and one of the suckiest main events of all time. And then I'm not only talking WCW here, I'm not talking WWE here, I'm talking all of wrestling. That really was horrendous. And it was this Superman with cartoony opponents kind of stuff too, and well, many people cling to it because, oh, it was Hulk Hogan. And that's why the turn from Hogan to the NWO worked so well, and why the NWO itself worked so well. It was something new. That was the moment the more real to life or more authentic gimmicks were created. I'm telling you nothing new here. And Vince McMahon's first efforts to really compete with that, well, they didn't click the moment he tried it. And the most important thing, and that was genius by him at that time, I'm sure he still had the last word to say in everything that was done, but the wrestlers were allowed a lot more freedom. They could be more of themselves and show more of themselves, and that was what really connected with the crowd, and why the WWE ultimately handed WCW and Eric Bischoff and Ted Turner the assets, because people like Stone Cold, DX, and The Rock, other fan favorites. The Rock is the perfect example. You have Rocky Maivia. I mean, he wasn't good as Rocky Maivia because the gimmick was yawn, too clean cut. I mean, he didn't even have horrible matches, but still the people disliked him in a way that they chanted "Die Rocky Die." I mean, and when he was The Rock, suddenly, oh, he's The Rock. He's awesome. He's awesome. And if you recognize him, oh God, that's Rocky Maivia. But he's awesome. Yeah. I think with Stone Cold, the Ringmaster, yeah. Oh, Ted DiBiase is gone. What do we do? Oh, Stone Cold Steve Austin. That as far as I know, were not Vince's ideas, but he was wise enough to see, well, let's try that, and he saw, he was desperate enough to see, to say, oh, well, let's try that. Hope it works. And he was clever enough to see, well, there is a connection with the crowd. Let's do that. And that's why more and more people had, suddenly these whole different gimmicks that really clicked with the crowd, that really worked, that really were entertaining to watch. And the NWO had the same, the NWO, the WCW was all NWO and the same shit they always did. And then the Starrcade 97 main event, where first, that's where at first the people, I think, really were like, oh, WCW. Seriously? I mean, they build up a match, the possible match of the century, Hulk Hogan versus Sting, only to have a pretty sucky finish, a pretty screw finish, so to say, speak. Maybe to just have another jab at Vince McMahon, because Montreal Screwjob, we can do that too. Well, it only got worse afterwards. So here Vince saw what he himself, at least that's how, if you watch the Monday Night Wars documentaries on the network, the DVD, whatever, and look at interviews and so on, that's the thing you see. The people had a little bit more creative freedom, they could be more of themselves, and they knew, if I do that, I connect with the crowd. And at in that time, Vince apparently said, well, try it. If it works, great. Now, after the Attitude Era and the end of the Monday Night Wars, we had the Alliance angle, which, tanked because the biggest WCW stars weren't even there. So, well, let's just stick to that. It tanked. The storyline wasn't that great, although the Survivor Series match was. But no, it really didn't. It wasn't good. After that, the Ruthless Aggression Era. The WWE became even more bloody, even more violent. Even when in Attitude Era you had sexual innuendos, you had women who were scarcely clothed or scarcely dressed at all. You had the puppies or bikini contest in which Jerry Lawler always hoped to see some puppies and only saw Mae Youngs. But, well, it got worse and worse, and after this whole Ruthless Aggression Era, the PG era started, and it was a step back because, well, I love violence as much as the next guy, at least in movies and to a part in wrestling. Hardcore matches and so on, you don't need a bloodbath every match on every pay-per-view. You don't need that. But there are times when it really makes sense. And, well, in the Ruthless Aggression area, as well as the Attitude Era, there was a level of violence that wasn't always called for in some matches. So, anyway, the Ruthless Aggression Era, there was not much competition, big competition, and we have had the indies who, showed those who would watch a whole new kind of athletic wrestling. Of course, not always so much psychology. Sometimes it's just spot after move, and so on. And, well, at least in some cases. I'm not saying that many ROH main events weren't perfect in every sense of, in every way possible. So, but with the PG era, many people say, "Oh, PG era." The actual wrestling in WWE nowadays often is better than it was during the Attitude Era and during the 80s. Well, I hated the WWE stuff from the 80s. The only really, really great match from the 80s was the Randy Savage Steamboat match at WrestleMania 3. Everything else was so far below what the NWA and WCW and Jim Crockett and the AWA at times did that, well. But the wrestling nowadays is good, the in-ring work. Many of the workers are way more capable than some legends, because, yeah, the way wrestling has to look has changed. The ground rules are the same, and the same basic stuff applies, but nowadays it's more fast-paced, it's more spectacular, and, yeah, more athletic, and at times way more intense. So, why am I telling you all this? Because in the 90s, Vince had lost touch with his fan base. The WWE as a whole had lost touch with its fan base. Well, not the whole WWE, the wrestlers didn't. And as soon as the wrestlers were allowed to bring them in creatively, it worked wonders. Vince let them do it, and it worked wonders. And even with some restrictions, that still could work wonders. But nowadays, yeah, it seems like we have much better in-ring action, or at least workers who can deliver better in the ring, or who can deliver a more modern style of wrestling. So, yeah, why are the ratings decreasing? And that's the problem, the storylines. A captivating storyline is a captivating storyline, and it always will stay the same. Movies from the 30s or 40s who had a great story, if you are not one of these young people who say, "Ooh, that movie's old." Well, a good storyline always is a good storyline, and if you tell a good storyline, the real fans, they don't care if it's from the 60s, 70s, 80s, 90s, or from last week. They don't care. And that's the basis of storytelling have not changed that much. But the WWE fails to really have great storylines nowadays. They try to rehash old stuff, and really to get innovative or real creative and show us something we have never seen ever before. That's impossible. But if you don't rehash something you have done successfully in the past with, just with much less momentum and energy. So, to really pin it down, the biggest problem is that WWE creative seems to be out of touch with its base, and I think Vince McMahon partly, or for the most part, is at fault, because he has ultimately has the final word. I can't imagine it's any way else that Stephanie really has the final word, or Triple H has the final word, at least with Raw and the big pay-per-views. Vince does. And yeah, what worked wonders in the late 90s, that he himself made himself the big villain. Well, we have the same thing with the Authority now, but we lack somebody we can get behind. 2015 had one main purpose in the WWE. Everything really and ultimately led to one thing, or was meant to do one thing: push Roman Reigns as the top face of the company. Well, the first clue that this wouldn't work, before Reigns got injured in 2014, his stuff with Randy Orton, his match, well, the reactions weren't stellar. He wasn't booed out of the building, but, well, his Survivor Series match, where he eliminated now I'm I don't know, was it 2013 or it was 2013 where he eliminated tons of guys. That was the first clue that this guy will be pushed. But anyway, back to 2015. He came back from injury and he won the Royal Rumble, staying clear of any other fan favorite that the crowd wanted to see as a winner. He did not eliminate them. He didn't have a hard-fought match with them. He eliminated the guys that eliminated them, and it was a very safety net booking. Well, if he eliminates Daniel Bryan, the crowd is going to hate him. Yeah, obviously they will, but then again, almost everybody except maybe for Dolph Ziggler or Dean Ambrose, who could have won the Royal Rumble, would be not quite good choice, because the crowd loved those three. I mean, in the end, the fans chanted Rusev, Rusev. They wanted him to beat Reigns. That is a point where I, as a guy, or if I was a guy in WWE Creative, I would have said, I mean, Rusev is a heel. He's not even close to becoming a fan favorite or on the verge of being turned face by the crowd, as, for example, people like Kevin Owens always are in danger of, or yeah, Brock Lesnar. I don't think he's supposed to be a face, but the crowd just loves him. No, I would have said, people, listen to me. The crowd does not want this guy. He has not connected to the crowd yet. We can push him as much as we want. The crowd won't accept him. They did it well. They stuck to it. Had him have a great match with Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan showed his approval, wished him good luck, and the match was good. But in the end, the crowd still didn't want him. Seth Rollins cashed in the Money in the Bank and saved the crowd from Roman Reigns as champion. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a big fan of Roman Reigns. He still has a lot of work to do in the ring. That at the moment he has 4 moves of doom. His Superman punch, and I always think he hits it that way instead of like it's supposed to be. His spear, his Samoan drop, and maybe the powerbomb. And of course his power, but that's not a move. That's something he just has. He has potential, but he needs to diversify more. And the main thing that's the problem with him, and that's not his fault, that's creative's fault, his character is stale. He is like John Cena at the time when he was booked like he was the invincible underdog. Yeah. Oh, I'm the underdog. Haha, but I'm unbeatable, motherfucker. And the thing is with John Cena, the crowd, part of the crowd hates him, part of the crowd loves him. And to be honest, I like John Cena because John Cena, however you judge his wrestling abilities, at least his technical abilities, he knows how to tell a story. That's the first point. And on a big stage, he delivers. Except against The Miz. But at that time, The Miz was too green to main event WrestleMania, so not their fault. Not really their fault. Roman Reigns, sure, his matches were not bad. Some of them were quite good, actually, but he was carried through them. And John Cena can carry his own. And that's the problem. The crowd, I don't even think the crowd really hates Roman Reigns. They just don't care for him. And why would they care for him? Why would they invest in him emotionally when his character is so stale? He's a good guy. He wants to be fighting champion. And the only time the WWE did something that really worked with Roman Reigns as a face was at the end of TLC. And I've read an interview with Sean Waltman in which he said that Hunter really had to fight for this to happen, that he gets beat up by Roman Reigns. And guess what? It worked. The crowd was cheering for Reigns. They didn't care for him losing the title a few minutes before. They didn't care. well, they were stunned because, yeah, well, they had a choice between pest and cholera, as we say in Germany. Don't know if you say that in English too, but, well, Sheamus, they don't care for him. Roman Reigns, they don't care for him either. So, well, they didn't care. And then he beats up Triple H. And suddenly, whoa, thank you, Roman. I mean, come on. It obviously worked. When he won the title, nobody was boo. They they really were on the verge of accepting him as a face. And the WWE could have built from there on. But no. As soon as he was champion, they are back to Superman booking. He fights against 17 guys on Raw. Of course, he mostly fought against Kevin Owens, but he still fought off 17 guys. He did not lose this thing. Okay, Lesnar helped him, and it was a no contest. Okay, but that he wasn't beaten down by 17 guys in 5 minutes and they danced on his grave, so to speak. No. And then we have the Royal Rumble. They couldn't shut up about how bad his chances were, how slim his chances were. And yeah, we know sometimes surprising entrant at WrestleMania is awesome, and surprising things happening is always awesome, or at least unexpected things. Who, in their right mind, thought that Roman Reigns would win the Royal Rumble, and who in their right mind, at least from the smart fans, or the internet fans, whatever, who in their right mind didn't see Triple H coming in and winning the damn thing? Because, and here's the point, from a storyline point of view, that was the only choice the WWE had. That's storytelling. But the problem is, in a story, and we are talking about wrestling, you have a villain and you have a hero. The hero doesn't necessarily need to be a knight in shining armor. On the contrary, if they booked Roman Reigns as a fucking badass who just wants to beat people up who stand in his way and who wants to be champion and who has a little bit of a Stone Cold Steve Austin attitude, because let's face it, an underdog, he's no underdog. Daniel Bryan is an underdog. Even Steve Austin was an underdog. He's a bald guy, drinking beer, working class kind of guy. Awesome. Daniel Bryan, the ultimate underdog, a guy people always tell, you're too small, you don't have the look, you won't get there. You're a B plus player, not an A player. It worked because people can connect with that. Then you have Roman Reigns. He looks like a badass. He looks like a wrestler. He's buffed up, he's quite buff. He really has muscles, more than Stone Cold Steve Austin did. So the crowd cannot connect with him on a level that he's the underdog. I mean, WWE used 2015 mostly for that purpose, that to show Roman Reigns is a huge monster. A good monster, but a monster. And now they wanted to be the underdog, going against the odds. I mean, yeah. It's as if Godzilla is fighting the Japanese army, who are there with tanks and machine guns, and you say, oh, Godzilla is the underdog because he's one. Those are thousands. That doesn't work. This whole character Roman Reigns has is combined with his looks, he's no underdog. You can sell the crowd an underdog that looks like that. He needs to be a cool badass. And I don't think I'm the only one who thinks this way or who feels this way. A lot of people do. And it showed. As soon as he went from underdog on the other one hand, and on the other hand a Superman, to just someone letting his rage flow, beating Triple H up, in that moment he was a face. And he was until the moment WWE went back to Superman booking. As if he was a superhero. And they really wonder why the ratings decline? So now we're at a crossroads. I know that's a pretty long introduction or prologue. Well, it's not a prologue. It was the first two acts too. But The heading into the road of WrestleMania, and that's why I said it's no WrestleMania preview. We are at the crossroads. WWE can turn all this huge pile of shit. It's harsh to say it that way, but this huge pile of shit, they can turn it into gold. Or they can stick to the huge pile of shit and see their ratings decline until only a core audience who still loved them when it was Doink the Clown versus King Mabel. I don't know if that match really happened, but, well, it could have in 1995. Sorry, I just need another cigarette. I'll have to look for it, but anyway. We're at the crossroads, and WrestleMania is the vital point. It really is the vital point. So, 3 matches. There's only 3 matches confirmed thus far. Those are the ones who really determine if WWE can change the direction and maybe, yeah, offer something interesting, entertaining, thrilling, and new, or if they stick to the stuff they've been doing. And as I said, if I was head of creative right now, well, what I would do, that part comes next, but the first match that really matters here is Undertaker versus Shane McMahon, believe it or not. Because Shane McMahon returning was huge. In the end, it doesn't guarantee a change. It doesn't really guarantee quality, but it was fun to watch, and it was a real surprise. I mean, Triple H entering the Royal Rumble and winning was, at least to me and some other people, no real surprise. All over the internet, people knew that was going to happen. And they knew it because it made sense from a storyline point of view, and them knowing doesn't make it a bad choice. But Taker versus Shane McMahon. The problem is there are only 3 possibilities. First of all, Undertaker wins. Shane becomes, so to speak, another lackey within the authority who wants to fight the system from within and gathers wrestlers or tries to get wrestlers their shots at Triple H and at the authority. Next scenario is Shane wins, gains control over Raw, and has his own evil regime, or maybe even not an evil regime, but a just regime. By basically burying the Undertaker, because Shane winning against the Undertaker in a fair Hell in a Cell match, chances of that happening and being credible are rather slim. So, where does it leave us? With the third choice, Shane really needs to win here, because him fighting the system from within comes with a problem. The authority would still exist and still piss us off every Raw and bore us to death every Raw. The authority has gone on too long, it needs to die, and for that Shane has to win. And a possibility here would be that he has a proxy. Yeah, he is to face the Undertaker in a Hell in a Cell match at WrestleMania, and that really gets attention. So, as I said, what the fuck? What? Shane versus what? You're really surprised. Yeah. You just don't have the words for it. Why is this happening? Why would it make sense? It really gets attention and really makes it exciting. But why would Shane have to step into the ring? I mean, maybe there's a contract loophole and he has a proxy. Could be, for example, the rumored match Taker Cena. And with this, it really would mean something again, because the streak is gone. It doesn't matter, the magic and the atmosphere around it is gone. So, Cena fighting, once again standing up for the WWE Universe. Well, many people would hate it. So, great choice. Possibly the greatest choice for a possible proxy would be CM Punk, but I don't see him returning. But imagine, it would be awesome. CM Punk, a guy who in the summer of Punk has addressed a lot of issues that we still have today, and who left because of such issues. Because, I mean, you have part-time wrestlers in the main event, and okay, the only part-time wrestler I really want to see in the main event is Brock Lesnar, because, well, if he wants to be in there, you're the guy who wants to stand, or do you want to be the person who stands in his way and says, no, you're just a part-time wrestler, I don't like you. Yeah, well, that's how you get an F5, or how you get F5'd. So CM Punk would be an awesome choice, because, well, who else to stick it to the man, Vince McMahon, than a guy who left not, yeah, and not leaving with, yeah, with the best, in the best manner possible. Well, I doubt they really gave him the good luck with all your future endeavors, because, well, that would be awesome, because imagine whether it's on Raw before WrestleMania or announced on WrestleMania, or CM Punk just hits out of the blue, hits the ring with his music. To be honest, imagine this match was in the mid card and CM Punk returned. Well, I think as soon as that hits Twitter, WWE would have a lot more subscribers for their network. But I don't see that happening. It's just some sort of dream. But Sting, of course. But, well, with his injury, he's not in the shape Cena is in, and Cena often came back from injury sooner than anybody would have imagined. So anyway, there is the possibility of a proxy who can credibly beat The Undertaker, or who could do that. So the second match that will determine where WWE goes is Brock Lesnar, Dean Ambrose. Because, first of all, this feud, there is intensity, there is heat, and the people want to see it. They love Lesnar, but they love Ambrose too. Maybe they still love Lesnar a little bit more, but that can change during the course of the match if they do it right. And I think Ambrose needs to win here. Because Lesnar winning would just say, well, Ambrose, you just lost another big match. Shame on you. Him beating Lesnar just by his pure will, because he cannot match his strength, he cannot match his his agility, questionable, but he appears to be no real match for Lesnar. Still, he has the will and the wackiness to go at it. And if he wins, that's a match where you can take someone who already is a star, who is already beloved by the universe and by the crowd, the fans, whatever, and elevate him to the main event level. If he beats Lesnar, he has to be one of the guys who main events the next, at least 2016, maybe 2017. He needs to win here, because that way you have a huge fan favorite. Legitimately pushed into the main event. There's no way you cannot, or you could, deny Ambrose that after a win against Lesnar. The third match, of course, is Triple H versus Roman Reigns. The most likely scenario from a storytelling point of view is Reigns winning and possibly being booed out of the arena, because, well, Triple H beats up Roman Reigns and gets cheered for it because, hey, he's a cool dude. He was in DX. He's wearing jeans again. He's the game. The King of Kings, the cerebral assassin. He is Triple fucking H. How can Reigns, with his current gimmick and his current orientation of his character, the WWE creative has given him, compete with that. He cannot. He simply cannot. And WWE, I really fear a scenario in which tons of people try to interfere on Triple H's behalf, and Roman Reigns just fighting them off and being a superhuman, and he fights them off, and he on Superman punch, spear, and Samoan drop, and another spear, another Superman punch, another spear, and then he has won against Triple H. That would be a great way to ruin Roman Reigns as a face for, let's say, at least 2-3 years, possibly forever. That kind of booking, that's something nobody wants to see anymore. Not even, I mean, little children, yeah, even if you have sponsors that have a key demographic with people below or under 18 or under 16, I don't care. In the end, a child, let's say 6 to 10 years, yeah, he might like such a guy now, and even those this part of the crowd is not really strongly behind Roman Reigns. I mean, with Cena, you always have this, let's go Cena. Cena sucks. Well, but they aren't as vocal for Reigns as they are for Cena. And that shows me the younger crowd, that they chant, they are loud if they want to. For Roman Reigns, they obviously are not that hot, because even they know his character is boring. And as I said, it's not Roman Reigns' fault, it's creative's fault. And if he really does that, I mean, he's a guy who possibly will be at the top of the WWE the next 5 to 10 years. Do you really want the children who are now 6 to 10 years, when they are teenagers, do you really think they will cheer for a lame superhero? No, they won't. That's the thing. During the PG era, which is now 7-8 years old, there have been a lot of younger fans who just got into wrestling. They are not young fans anymore. They are teenagers or preteens, and preteens and teenagers, they want cool stuff. They want cool heroes, not a clean-cut face. That's why that way would be that's the worst possible choice how to do this Triple H versus Roman Reigns match. Having Reigns beat the Authority and go against the odds and win the thing cleanly, although 20 people interfered on Triple H's behalf. You know what would be shocking, and what I would love to see? In my opinion, that's the only thing that can save Roman Reigns as of now. Really save him, because making him the badass, that's the other way. Making him the badass face for in the next 6 weeks until WrestleMania, and then having the badass beat the even better ass at WrestleMania. That could work, but somehow I doubt that WWE would really stick to it. As soon as he's the champion and the crowd cheers for him, they probably think, oh yeah, well, now they cheer for him. Let's make him the Superman clean-cut face again. They did it once, they will do it again, because they just don't seem to get it. And here is where it gets interesting. What I would do if I was head booker of WWE or in control of creative. First of all, I would start with a total shock. There are two possibilities. But first of all, I would start with a total shocker. Shane McMahon goes against The Undertaker himself in the Hell in a Cell match. Undertaker is forced to really go at it the best he can because his career is on the line. Shane fights for the fans, and they need to have an intense match, and Shane taking lots of hard bumps, and he really is known for his willing to take insane bumps. And Undertaker has to really bring it, really play the part well, that he hates himself for doing this, but he has to. And just imagine, he gives Shane everything he's got, and Shane just doesn't want to quit because he wants to take creative from the authority away, or control of Raw from the authority away, and give the fans what they want. He needs to build up to that in the next weeks. He needs to say, if I am in control of Raw, people like Dolph Ziggler, Dean Ambrose, the guys you love, those guys, they will get their shot. And if he does that, and The Undertaker, he doesn't need necessarily to turn heel necessarily. He needs to, voice his opinion that he hates this whole situation, and he understands why Shane wants to do this, but he does not want to end his career, and he just doesn't want to lie down for anybody. So it's on. And during the match, that would be the story behind it. He gets impressed with how willing Shane just is to really gain control over Raw and help the WWE universe get what they want. To get rid of the authority, to have the guys the crowd really likes, or that are really over with the crowd, to get the prominent spots. And The Undertaker, he has Shane beaten. He just stands there towering over him and thinking, and you have to see it on his face, he's thinking, what are you doing? Just what the hell are you doing? You're bowing. I know my career's on the line, but why should I beat this man and do Vince a favor? I've been in the WWE for over 20 years. I've been a cornerstone of the WWE for over 20 years. And even I believe that it will crumble if the authority stays in charge. This guy needs to get a shot. And he's standing there, towering over Shane and thinking, and Shane clawing his way up. And then Taker really thinking about it, and Shane just out of nowhere hits a big move, maybe even hits him with a brass knucks or whatever, and Undertaker's out of commission, and it gets to 1, 2, 3 if they really play it right and the fans understand what's going on there. And I think both Undertaker and Shane are convincing enough actors to deliver that. You would see a guy who has always fought for WWE, who loved WWE, being on the verge of, possibly destroying it, and thinking even my career is not worth that much. And during this doubts he has, Shane hits it, and in the end, at Raw the next day, Undertaker can explain it all, what was going on in his head, but that is a compelling story. The respect he has, the respect that would show Undertaker has for the business, for the WWE, because the story here is the authority, the McMahons, aside Shane, they make the WWE suck. They do everything they can by being just dickheads and stubborn, that it will crumble. And that would be a really great story, and it would be something. One man winning, that's obvious. Shane winning that way, it wouldn't really hurt The Undertaker. It would be the ultimate sacrifice he can bring. And Shane, he is a hero in the eyes of the universe. That's a great, in my opinion, that would be a great story, honestly. But that's only one thing I would do. The next thing I would do, as I said, Ambrose beats Lesnar. They need to have a hell of a fight. And I think in the beginning, when there's German suplexes everywhere in Suplex City, Texas becomes Suplex City, the crowd will love Lesnar, but Ambrose needs to fight back. And then, in the end, win after an incredible effort. The crowd will respect him for that. And the next thing is, and I'm not saying that because I don't like Roman Reigns. I think he has potential if he's given the right gimmick and maybe works on one or two things he does in the ring. Triple H should win this. I would book it in a way that Triple H would win it. I don't care if it is by dumb luck. They need to have a eye-to-eye fight on the same level. They need to beat the shit out of each other. And in the end, without interference, that's important. Without interference, Triple H gets lucky, or the edge in experience is what tips the scales to Triple H in Triple H's favor. Of course, you can always have a run-in or distractions or anything like that, but it wouldn't work with what I would do later on. So Triple H maybe just wins by dumb luck or by the edge of experience. Reigns has a strong showing, and the crowd, yeah, well, they might even cheer for it because Reigns is not that over it as of now. So in the end, yeah, WrestleMania gets off the air with Triple H celebrating. That's where I was thinking. Maybe have the title match as a co-main event, because the big match between Shane McMahon and The Undertaker, the stakes are even higher there. It's not the kind of match that will be the main event, and of course the quality most likely will not be main event level, even if they do it the way I suggested, or I would do it. Anyway, next day on Raw, Shane's in command. Gets out there, talks about this match with The Undertaker. The Undertaker might come out and talk about why he did that and how he wanted. That's how he wanted to end his career, with his ultimate sacrifice for the WWE, or maybe not appear at all. That's details. But Shane starts a little poll. Now that he's in charge, things will change. The first thing he wants to change is that Triple H is the champion. That's something he just cannot tolerate. Triple H is a guy who works in the office now. He is the CEO, COO, I don't know. COO, I think. Chief Operating Officer? Yeah, I think that's it. Anyway, and he calls out Triple H. And says, yeah, who would you, asks the crowd, who would you want to see go against Triple H? I mean, we need to get the title off him. That's obvious, but something like that. He teases the crowd a little bit. We need to get the title off him. And he asks, for example, do you want, I don't know, Curtis Axel? One or two names who are just, what? And then he asks Roman Reigns, and of course the crowd after the evening before boos. He doesn't say anything about, yeah, well, of course, he just lost to him, he won't get it, the title anyway. He's not the man for it. No, he just asked him, the crowd boos. And then he asks, well, then I think I have the right guy in mind. What do you think of Dean Ambrose? And the crowd just goes plain nuts. I mean, it's the day after he defeated Brock Lesnar and became immortal, a future Hall of Famer, so to speak. And you cannot always predict the reactions of the crowd, but given what they are now, at the moment, those reactions are more than just likely. And yeah, it would end with, I wouldn't do it on Raw. I would do it, or would save it for Extreme Rules maybe, because Extreme Rules may favor Dean Ambrose. Ambrose versus Triple H. And that's how you would have an exciting event, main event for Extreme Rules, something the fans would like to see, Ambrose getting the title. And in the yeah, with that event taking place, yeah, Reigns, you can turn him heel. He can just say, well, he fought the authority. Sorry for the cut here. Apparently the movie maker just makes 1 hour videos. As said, it will take a little bit of time. Uh, Dean Ambrose versus Triple H would be the main event for Extreme Rules, and that's something the crowd would love to see. And during the next weeks, oh, yeah, Reigns, he thinks, well, I fought the authority for such an amount of time. I really gave it my all, and in the end, I was screwed out of the title every time. And then, on the biggest stage of them all, Triple H just got lucky. And you have never appreciated me for what I do here, for trying to represent you against the authority, to crush them, that you don't have to endure them anymore, or suffer through the segments, whatever. Although Steph and Triple H, they're great actors, but the segments often are just too long and repetitive. Anyway, he can turn heel. He has a credible motive why he turns heel. I mean, the crowd just doesn't want him, although he gave his best efforts. He stood against the odds, and he just doesn't want to do it anymore for the crowd. And then, of course, his former brother, Dean Ambrose, gets the title shot and wins the title. Triple H is out of the picture, and Reigns is in again as a heel. And as a heel, he is again the badass we knew from the Shield, and he would destroy Ambrose. And of course, Ambrose would need to, retain the title at first. Maybe the title can even change hands. The thing is, it would be a great way overall to push Dean Ambrose into absolute immortality as a WWE superstar, because that him beating Lesnar and him beating Triple H afterwards at Extreme Rules, it would just, he would be a future Hall of Famer, no doubt about it. And the crowd already loves him. Why not use that? Lesnar, he wouldn't take damage. I mean, you can beat Lesnar, well, he comes back and beats you again. So, for those two, it would work out. Maybe even Reigns saying, just because he beat Lesnar, he gets a shot. I haven't had a single chance to really go against Lesnar one-on-one, and if I beat him, I want a shot at whoever wins the title at Extreme Rules, and you have a Roman Reigns Brock Lesnar match at Extreme Rules, and that would work pretty well too. And it could just further heel turn for Roman Reigns, because if he really goes against Lesnar, and it doesn't matter how the match ends, most likely with a win against Lesnar, and Reigns can use heelish methods to do that. Just because it would show how much he wants the title. Or another title shot, which would be, of course, against Dean Ambrose. So, it would help Reigns because he would be heel, he could be the badass again, and turning him heel, at least for now, in the long run, is the best choice the WWE could do, or could have. Nobody profits, especially not Roman Reigns or the WWE and their ratings, profit from a face champion nobody really gets behind. If the champion, the face of the WWE, is not over, it's that you can't do that. You can't do that. Then you could book Curtis Axel versus, I don't know, in the main event. That would work just as well. And as I said, it's not. I hold no grudge against Roman Reigns. It's just the way WWE books him. And in order to really break up the stale concept they have of Roman Reigns and what they do with him now, and I mean, they listen to the fans with Daniel Bryan, and they can't always listen to the fans because I'm not in the business. Everything I say here can be a whole lot of could be bullshit. I don't know how creative exactly works in the wrestling business. I just know a little bit about storytelling. If I gain something from reading hundreds of books, watching thousands of movies, and playing hundreds of games, I know a little bit about storytelling. I've watched hundreds of wrestling storylines. I know storytelling, and the rules for storytelling in wrestling are the same as they are everywhere, except maybe in a movie. Well, you can tell a story just in every. You can plan every aspect in wrestling. You can just hope the crowd accepts it, and the crowd nowadays aren't as easily caught up in your scheme what you want them to do. The crowd does whatever it pleases. And to manipulate the crowd it's getting harder because on the internet you can look everything up. So, but in the end, storytelling, it might be huge bullshit what I tell you, but to be honest, what sounds better? My scenario, Roman with Taker and Shane McMahon. Shane beating the Taker because Taker makes the ultimate sacrifice and realizes if he wins here, the Authority stays in control and drags WWE down to hell, or further in the mud, or he sacrifices his own career for Shane to win and get WWE back on track. On the same evening, Dean Ambrose wins, scores a huge upset victory over Brock Lesnar, and Triple H scores an upset victory over Roman Reigns. And then Ambrose, as the most over real face in the WWE, gets the title shot because Shane McMahon decides this is what you want, this is what you get. And Triple H loses the title. And during that course, Roman Reigns turns heel, turns against his brother. That's something that always works. Betrayal between brothers. That works. That's exciting. That's compelling storytelling. It's nothing new, but it just works. The Superman beating every obstacle that is in his way, and an underdog you cannot really connect with on a personal level because, oh, that's a muscular guy and he's the underdog. Okay, what am I with my flabby man boobs or whatever? I mean, it's just, is that scenario better that he turns heel and goes against his brother in pursuit of the title, or the looking at the past booking of Roman Reigns, the following scenario that Roman Reigns beats Triple H and possibly everybody who wants to interfere, just fends them off. The League of Nations and those guys and this guys, and he finishes off Triple H with his 4 moves of doom, and then is a modern day Hulk Hogan or a modern day modern day John Cena, Cena 2.0 in boring and in stale from a character or character-wise. What honestly sounds better? And I think I don't know if I'm in touch with the wrestling crowd. I know that I'm in touch with me, but the wrestling crowd, well, whatever WWE does, I can guarantee you the crowd does not want a Superman face beating everybody, standing up against all odds or persevering against all odds, because that's just that is boring if you don't have a Daniel Bryan, a real underdog. Roman Reigns is no real underdog, so WWE needs to change it up. And WrestleMania, as I said, that's the first choice of Crossroads, because depending on how they use the momentum gained with the Shane McMahon appearance and the Undertaker Shane McMahon match, it is a huge huge chance for WWE to get back on track if they do that right, and do the Ambrose Lesnar match right, and do the Triple H Reigns match right. And they don't need to do it like I said. They should do it, or the way I would do it. But they have to do something there that is compelling storytelling, and not the same bullshit we had all through 2015 since till now in 2016, because that's really to blame for the decreasing ratings. And more of the McMahon family, well, that's just necessary as long as there are no other strong heels. And oh, by God, Kevin Owens could be a huge main event heel. Just let him do it. Bray Wyatt could be a huge main event heel. If you don't push him, make him look like he and his Wyatt family are a real threat to everybody, just to have them beaten by 3 guys, of which 2 are past their prime and have no business winning over young guys. Again, that's not Kane's and Big Show's fault. They don't book the matches. And Ryback, I like Ryback. Somehow I really like Ryback. I don't know why, but he somehow is a cool guy. I don't know. But honestly, you can't build Bray Wyatt and his family up and just drop them off again. You have people, the WWE has people who could be strong heels. You just need to push them, because WWE, as right now, makes the same mistake, or many of the same mistakes WCW did back in the Monday Night Wars. There's just nobody who can really capitalize on these mistakes the WWE makes. That's the main point why the readings just decrease. But there is no threat of if you book a shit show, or if your booking is shit and your storytelling is subpar. If TNA in January 2016, with the roster they had back in 2010, before the Nasty Boys and so on came in, if they tried to start a Monday Night War in January this year, they would have had a chance, because the ratings are decreasing, the storytelling, well, TNA storytelling is even worse, so forget that. But WWE does not have competition, and yeah, they don't need to put in the effort, it seems, or at least they think they don't. So WrestleMania really is a crossroads, and I really do hope they make some of the right decisions here, maybe even surprise me or all of us by doing something that really is interesting, and not, oh, Roman Reigns. Let's be honest here. Roman Reigns beating Triple H is what everybody expects. It doesn't matter how it is done. Everybody expects that, and let's say everybody knows that it's going to happen, unless the WWE decides, let's really change it up, and they turn Reigns heel until the crowd loves or has strong feelings about him. I mean, they could turn the guy heel, have him be a badass after he lost his feud against Dean Ambrose, in my scenario. Yeah, let him beat up some other guys and be maybe even another heel or a good some face, until the crowd again connects to him. The connection is lost, and as long as he is a stale Superman face, there will be no connection with the crowd. Turn him heel and the crowd will turn him face sooner than you think. But for that to happen, he really should not win the main event, although I think it's going to happen. Well, anyway, sorry for the long video, because I had to get a lot off my chest, and I had to really go back to the 80s and 90s to explain why I conclude certain things the way I do. Hopefully you'll tune in for the next stuff I do concerning wrestling, namely the the 10 worst and 10 best WrestleMania main events, the WrestleMania preview, of course, the NXT preview, and an NXT review. Until then, yours, Aquifel.